So welcome back to Rotten Rust Garage. This weekend I'm going to try to get a little bit more done on the floor pan. That's been dragging on, taking my time with it, and I've been gone for almost 2 weeks now. So I got to figure out, get my head back in the game and try to get a little more accomplished this weekend. This is the point in the project where I'll warn you, you look around, you see a ton of stuff to do, but you're just stuck in the mire of doing one little part, and you just got to push on through, man. You just got to keep on pushing and keep grinding away at it, and then you maybe make some progress, and one day you'll get there. I hope one day I get there. That's the plan anyway. So let's dive in and get started. So when I left off 2 weeks ago, I was getting this final fitted, drilled out and everything, started cutting this little piece out, and I'm in here this morning. I'm kind of looking at it, and definitely this metal here is going to be too thin to weld to. I can feel that, and I need to cut a little bit more out. I don't know if that's thick enough. I think it is, but again, I'm getting almost all the way up to this flange area here, so I want to try to avoid that. This over here, way too thin. There is almost nothing there where I cut. So I got to cut over here a little further. That's definitely thick metal, and I'm going to end up with a problem probably right here in this corner, so I'm going to have to be a little careful. Then the next thing I got to do, I got to pull this out of here, get this cut out, pull this out, and I got to go around underneath of all this over here, all right? And just like I worried about back here, all that undercoating is behind here. So I got to get out the little hand torch there and heat it up and see what I can do to start scraping it off, get it off as best as possible for two reasons. Primarily, I don't want it polluting welds. And secondly, I don't want it catching fire when I'm focused on welding up here and I'm not looking underneath of the car, which I'm going to have to do frequently anyway. You don't want to burn your garage down doing something like this. And this undercoating, once it's hot enough, it burns very, very good. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. And once we get a little further, maybe scrape some of this off, get this cut out the rest of the way, I might zap a couple of spots on here just to hold it in really sharp place so I can get a form and maybe start fabricating this little piece today. And let me show you that. This piece, we cut off the back here. Used to be right back here, right? But what I'm noticing is a larger flat piece right here. Hey, I got one right there. More than wide enough. And then it narrows out through here. And so that'll be right there. So I think what I'm going to do, get the stickers off here, and cut this out, and use that as my template, or not my template, but my piece to weld in here. The way I use all this metal. You paid for it, might as well use it, right? Okay, where to start? Much thicker metal. That'll work. Little thin right there, but I'll be all right. That's crazy thin. Let's get it out of there. So here's the pieces as I cut them out, all right? The primary piece here, obviously, wasted away and rusted, okay? So that one there, this is what I just cut out on the left side, and you can see this, see how thick that is, the metal there? That's good. Look at that side. Very razor thin. Now, I don't know if you can capture that on the camera or not, but that was not gonna take a weld. That's just gonna blow straight through. That was over here, all right? Nope, went that way. This is the one that was tack welded, so it got kind of chewed up, but you can see how, again, razor thin that top edge is where I cut. And this would be the adjoining side of it. See where it gets really thin right by my thumb? That's just gonna blow right through. That's no good. Now here's where I just cut along the top. There's a couple of, this is a little deceiving because you can see that stupid or that heavy coat of undercoating on there. A little deceiving, but that is much thicker. I do see one little tiny spot here that might blow through, and then it's a little thin right there. That's going to be something to deal with, and this side's going to be just fine. So to translate that into where I was just cutting, right about here is going to still be a little thin. But if I'm really gentle with the welder, I might be able to get some welds in there. I got to get undercoating off of the back side of this. It's clean under here, clean right here. The undercoating starts right here. So next thing I got to do is get up underneath here with the torch, heat this up a little bit, real gentle like, get a scraper, and make a hot mess. Literally a hot mess. Cool. Not a ton of room under here. I don't even know if the camera could see this, but we're just going to do a real quick light heat up. And then let's see if this starts to loosen it up enough to get scraped some. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. Doesn't take a lot of heat. I want to get as much of this from right here where I'm going to be welding as possible. There we go. Just getting it a little softer. Then I'll have to come back through with the wire broke or something. I sure hope y'all can see what I'm doing here, because I can't. This is where a lift would come in handy. What do you think? That's coming off good enough. Maybe a little more back here. A little more heat. While I'm under here, let's go ahead and clean this crap off of here. Just road grime, whatnot. Because I gotta sweep under here now anyway. Of course, after I lay in it all, let's see. I have some goodies here, also known as lacquer thinner and paper towels. Of course, I'm wallering in this stuff, so that's pretty cool. That's the way I like it. Once it's softened, this stuff comes off pretty good with lacquer thinner, probably acetone as well. Let's see, what is that? That's paint mixed with a little bit of this stuff. All right, we're looking good right there. That's gonna truly help. All right, and I don't think we have any up over here. That's all just black paint. And then you can't see it, but there's a little bit right back here that I got to get. Right above the torsion bar socket. Come on, baby. There you go. All right, I'll finish cleaning up and I'll meet you upstairs. Okay, that's done underneath. Now what I'm going to do, I'm pretty much kind of lined up roughly. This is about where it's going to get tacked in. I'm not going to tack it yet just to hold it in place. It's pretty solid here. I think what I'm going to do first is go ahead and take a tape of this to get a good sketch of it. Transfer it to the other metal, cut that out, rough fit this a little bit more. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to go ahead and do that because there needs to be some prep done before I tack this into place, because if it tacks in good and everything works out, it may not come back out. So before I do that, I need to do the weld through primer on all of this through here, clean everything up a little bit. I got to get dress these edges right here a little bit better. So that'll all come in a few. I don't want to do the weld through primer yet because then it stops me from making progress. So I'd like to get this piece cut out of the metal. Once that's cut out, I can start fitting that up while the weld through primer's drying. So I guess that's the way I'm going to go. So if you haven't seen this before, you just take some tape. I don't know if it's going to stick to this rusty mess up here or not, but just take some tape, and that was a little bit too generous of a piece. And out, and just tape it all up. Help use this tape to make like a template. We'll see how well it works out. And that's not going to really help me necessarily with the bends and everything in it. Yeah, it's not sticking to that rusty metal worth a dang, but this will at least get me started on the shape that I need. Yeah. And we're going to try it regardless. May or may not work. Should be pretty close though. Gives me a starting point rather than just guessing. Lots of contours in here. A lot of them. And it wastes a lot of tape. But this pan's staying in place pretty good. All right, that's a really terrible tape job. Now I need to get some going across it, stiffen it up a little better. That way I can pull it all off together. We'll see if this works. It may not. I don't know. So many compound curves in it. Who knows? All I can do is try. Come on, baby. Definitely gonna kill a roll of tape, huh? Needs to kind of lay a little better than this though. Gotta follow that contour. All right, don't know if that's gonna be good enough or not, but now I can trace these edges. I got it a little tight through there, so it's a little hard to see my edges, but at least it's a starting point for cutting this out. All right, go ahead and mark this. A little too tight through there, so I don't have a great edge to get an accurate mark, but it's gonna be pretty close. What's going on there? All right, see there? Now, let's see if we can get all this up together without it all coming apart. There we go. Template. So here you can kind of see I stitched the pieces back together and laid them out. You know, this is going to be the kind of general layout. You can see how that almost fits in here. It seems shorter because it's got a bend in it. This doesn't really have that bend, you know, but close enough, right? There we go. And then this piece would be over here. And that one, I think, went in there like that, something like that. So pretty close. That's going to get us in the ballpark. And while it's somewhat adhesive, I think I'm going to try and lay it on this and get as much of this metal as I can without getting any of these, without getting any of these rolled edges in there. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. So that's what I got to cut out now. And I'm going to go pretty wide around all this and then sneak up on it again. So we'll see how that works out. So I'm going to do my best to cut this out, but I'm going to start off with the death wheel and then move over to the angle grinder and get this starting to shape out. Let's see how this goes. Good start. And the only reason I used the spinning wheel of death was just to get a rough end shape. I can't see crap when that thing's really flinging the metal with the sparks everywhere. So this is a lot, obviously more control, a lot slower. Now I'm going to start dialing it in. I'm going to sneak up on the outside of these Sharpie markers and you know, see where that gets me. And then I got the compound bend, almost like a V to put in here. So that'll be interesting to try and not only get that bend in properly, but fit this up. So it'll be a little challenge. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I laid this up in here. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I made some marks coinciding with this and did a little bend right here over the rocker. Then kind of saw how it's going to lay out over there. Made another mark coincident with this and then kind of aiming for this corner. And it's kind of taking the shape. So I can see I got a big point right there that needs to be ground down, so it'll start to slide up in there a little better. Also, one thing I did, again, these end pieces, I left them a little long, so I'm gonna have to sneak up on it and continue to fit and bend, but it's starting to take that shape somewhat. But I can also already see I need to start grinding some off right there so it'll slide in there a little better. Something like that. This needs a little more bend. No special tools required. Just something hard to push it over. So it looks like it might try to take this shape okay. We will see. So I'm going to put you guys to the side for a little while, and I'm going to continue to tweak on this off camera, and then see if I can't, you know, bring you back in and have a magically fitting piece here. So here we go. All right, now I've been tinkering with this for a minute, and I'm sneaking up pretty close on getting that to fit in up there. I got to take more off here, and I'm also taking some off up here. This side's real wonky. It's not wanting to fit up very good, but I do want to show you, hopefully in the shine of the light, you can kind of see how these two are lining up. Not great, but, you know, good enough for what I do for a living. You know, that's not terrible. I've seen worse, and this is starting to come together up here. But again, I'm not going to record the in and out of the car and grinding down, you know 1/64th at a time, sneaking up on it. Sure don't want to go past it. Whew. This was plenty enough work. So this is consuming a little bit of time, and that's to be expected. It is what it is. I mean, I might not be good at sheet metal, but at least I'm slow. So I've been dorking with this thing for probably 45 minutes now, and what I'm learning about these compound bends here is that there's another like slope in there that I'm trying to figure out on the fly here, and it's really challenging. And I'll see if I can explain it. If I line this bend up right through here, what ends up happening is this pushes outward because there's a slope here as well as a bend there. And so I'm having to use the old pliers here to try and make that do that three-way bend right through this area. It's getting really close. That's a proud by maybe 3/16, and this is lapped up over here. I've still got some more shaving to do, but I didn't want to keep grinding away at it unless it actually is contoured properly. And here's the problem with this not fitting really well right down here yet, is it kicks this end up. So if that's bent properly, this drops down, filling in this gap here. So before I had like a 1/4 inch gap right here at the bottom because this piece was sticking too far up. So really taking a lot of massaging here, and hopefully it looks like crap when I'm done, but that's okay. It's all going to get seam sealed, undercoated, the whole 9 yards, and well, once it's put carpet in, you'll never know it was here. So anyhow, I'm going to have to stop for the day because I got some other chores to do before it gets dark. But the good news is it's like 93 degrees outside and very humid. So I have to weed eat. Yay. Hopefully it doesn't start raining. But I'm going to take a break on this and just, you know, step away for a little while. And that'll help me get my brain back on it when I step back in. I'll maybe see it differently, get that nailed, and then go ahead and prime all this stuff underneath, zip it, and rip it. So here's where we're at now. I've got my chores done, and I came back in. I've spent the last 35-40 minutes piddling with this. Looking pretty good around everywhere. A little bit more trimming to do. But what you can see happening is I'm building a gap here. Might be able to bridge that with a welder. It's not awful. I could try to slide this down a little bit more, but more concerning is that this is not at the right angle. It needs to go more like that to catch this bottom piece better. So I don't know what's causing that. I'm just gonna probably continue to tweak on it more and more, but that's just not a good line up there. Now I could tack it all into place and manipulate it some, bend up on this, bend down on this, tip it at it with the hammer, but I'm really close. So this might be a good stopping point for the evening. Go get dinner ready and move on to other things, but really close. So I think this is going to work. So let's just, you know, keep plugging away at it, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning. It's the next day, and I've been out here for about 35-40 minutes now, fiddling with this piece. I'm not real happy with the way it's fitting, chasing it around, back and forth, not camera material. So let me show you where I'm at now, and I'll go from there. At some point, you just have to cut either, what is this? Cut bait or fish. So it from your spot it may look okay, but you know, it's a little too high here. If I bring that down, the gap gets too big here. If I line that up, this gap down here gets too big. So this is truly tennis match. And this has got to go down some anyway. This is kind of where it's going to be for the most part. You know, I think the only thing I can do at this point is I do have to do some trimming through here or to the bottom of this piece. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is prep this piece and get the weld through primer everywhere, tack this in place in just a couple of key locations to where it's held good. And then I think what I'll do is I'm probably going to have to just start slowly tacking this in very strategically, get some extra bends in it, and, you know, maybe, I don't know, use the cutoff wheel to make the gap proper. So we'll see. I guess I'm going to first start with prepping this. So time to get going. Well, I just getting ahead of myself here. You see these? That's where I drilled out the spot welds. I'm going to try and get in there pretty close. That is like cut down in just ever so slightly. Maybe a 30-second. That one's pretty deep. That's where I drilled out the spot welds on this rail here, on this side of the frame rail. I don't want to prime that. What I'm going to do is go ahead and weld these slots up that is left by the spot weld drill bit, and go ahead and get that ground down smooth. Then I'll prime it. So getting the welder out. Part of my problem is I'm half blind and there's no place to put this light to get on there good. So, all right, let me grind this off. So that's 20 minutes of my life I'll never get back, but those are all gone now. That one's right there at the edge of the other panel. I'm going to leave that alone because that'll get filled in when I attach the two panels. Same with those. They're into this panel. Looks pretty good though. Did a little more grinding. Now I just got to wipe it all down, the bare metal, with lacquer thinner and shoot some weld through primer on it. So before I get started painting this, I'm going to get, there's some spots of little surface rust here and there where finger oil's gotten on it over the years. When I first bought this a long time ago, I zinc coated it to keep it from completely rusting. But anyway, I don't want that on there when I prime. So I'm going to start off with a little Scotch-Brite pad, and I'm just going to hit all those areas that I don't want on there. Now, another thing is, well, first let's wipe this thing down real good. And I'm not using anything special, just some paper towels here. Obviously this is not like some kind of top coat where I'm going to worry about, you know, fibers from the paper getting in there and messing up my final paint. Don't care. Don't want any large chunks of paper towel, but it should be fine. Notice it's taking away all the Sharpie marker as well. It's just lacquer thinner. Because that Sharpie marker, if you've ever primed over it, you'll realize it bleeds right through. So you don't want to do that. Just get it off of there. All right, got all the edges pretty good. All the dirt off. That should do it for now. One thing though, well actually let's talk about two things. I drilled all this out from the other side so all the frayed edges came through this way. And I ground all those off in a previous video. You don't want that sticking through because that'll impede this from going all the way flush to the floor. But this is the old floor pan on the new floor pan that I just cleaned, and that's okay. Let me grab a writing utensil. What I really need to know, you can see how this fits up pretty good right here. The floor, what do you call the embossed areas from the bead roller. That all lines up really beautiful. The floor plug. What I need are these two holes right here. I need those marked so I can drill those out for the Go Fast pedal. Also need to pull this bracket off of here. I'll drill that out later, but let's set that aside. Now I've got my gas pedal located because that would be a problem later. And I can send a pilot bit through there for now. I don't know what size that is. Looks to be 3/8, but of no consequence. But I want to get the hole in there first before I start painting. I'm trying to find the best center of this as I can. It's probably going to be off a tiny bit. When I go to put the Go Fast pedal in, but it'll be okay. I have faith. This bit is slightly smaller than what the actual factory hole should be. Damn it. There we go. Well, that didn't work out good. My wood bit it too hard. Well, that's okay. We can hammer dolly that back to a little more flat. There we go. All right. Now I can use a step bit later on if I need to get them a little larger. Now I gotta grind that off. So, it's the Scotch-Brite. Get my sanding pad. All of this in here, that surface rust will be taken care of later. When I'm all done grinding, this is in there, then I'll prep it and paint it with the other piece. So now it's ready for probably one more wipe down, and then I'm going to prime it. All right. Get my can of paint. I'll put that over there. Whew. Get off of me. So I'm going to evacuate the shop for a little while. Let the fumes settle. Got the AC on. And I don't want to lose my AC, but also don't want to breathe all that crap in. That's some powerful stuff. Whew. So I'll just let that chill for a little while, dry, and I'll find something else to do here around the house. So there we go. All right, so got the primer portion done. Still a little fumey in here. This is dry enough to touch. I'll let it cure up for a little while. Just not real happy with this fit, and also it's the gap right in this area. I just can't close that up without opening a different gap. So I might have to just try to leap that with a welder. Can be done. It makes it easier to blow out that thin metal when you're trying to jump like that. Not the end of the world, but I'm also kind of paralysis through analysis on, do I weld this in first and then get the other pan underneath of it? I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. So yeah, because then there's going to have to be a little bit of trimming at that bottom edge. So then to get him meet up a little bit, I'll be able to hammer on this one to get it to meet up a little better. So that's what I think I'm going to do. But it's going to have to wait. Tacking this piece in is going to have to wait till tomorrow, because now I got a birthday party for my wife, or she had her birthday this past week, and so now we got friends and family coming over here shortly, and I got to get on the grill and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to clean this piece, put some primer on it, and then get out of the garage for the day. And I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Okay, so that's tacking it in there. Didn't have a good enough ground when I first tried to shoot it. Got some paint ground off right there, flipped the ground lead over. So just got a couple of tacks to hold this in place, because man, I am chasing this thing. Ultimately, I'm going to grind that back off, get a better one there. I want to actually press that down onto this brace here and weld through all that. Got a spot weld to put in there, but I cannot. I've been chasing to close that gap, and I can't do it without making this come up too high and just tacking it in there. Drew it up even more, which will make this gap at the bottom worse. So, you know, it's time to just get welding. So let's see how that goes. So now that that's held in there better, I want to get the last fitment on this pan, and see, it's high on it. It's got to go down, which is going to require some massaging, some very dramatic massaging. All right, time to massage. All right, so everything's lining up pretty good now. Got a couple of wide gaps, got a couple of narrow gaps. I can adjust for all that in the welding process via cutoff wheel and flat blade screwdriver to pry, you know, push in there, get the gap that I want. I need to come up a little tiny bit more on the jack, and looks like just a hair off there, maybe right through here. That's really too tight. So let me knock that out real quick. Don't want to go too far. That needs to come up a little bit. So a little more adjusting, then we'll start welding. All right, ran into a quick little snag. I thought I had some self-tapping screws, but I don't. So I got it tacked into place at a couple spots, so that's about where I want it. A little tight some areas, a little loose in others, but I want to get some self-tappers to hold this firmly to the frame rail. So that means I got to stop what I'm doing and run up to Lowe's. Man, that's a bummer. Hate that. But it's looking, it's looking okay-ish. Hate this gap over here. That's going to be a big jump. That's going to really suck. And then it got, even though I trimmed on it, it got a little too tight right there. So them's the breaks. It's just what you got to deal with. So let me run to Lowe's, get this over with, get just a little packet of self-tappers, and I'll be back. All right, that's good. This is all nice and tight down to the floor. So now it's just a matter of start going around, putting some tacks in. I'm going to open this little area up. That's going to have to come down some. Luckily that tack broke. And I think I'll get the jack out from underneath of it and just start welding. That's all we can do at this point. So that's where we're at. One more quick thing I'm going to do. I'll show you. All right, every one of these spot welds, I'm going to hit it with this wire brush just to break the top off of the weld through primer. While it is weld through, sometimes it won't get an arc struck because it's thick on there. It won't strike real easy, and you won't end up with a good weld. So I like to make sure there's a tiny bit of metal poking through, even if you just scratch it with a knife or something, to where you get a good arc struck immediately. So I'm going to do that now. Pro tip when you're MIG welding, don't forget to turn your gas on so that you don't end up with a bunch of sloppy tack welds that won't grab and melt and bite. So obviously I've already started blowing through metal here. Tried to hold this down onto the bracket underneath and get a little hot there, and it blew that metal out. So I'm going to be chasing that like crazy. I got to open up this gap some more. If you push down to get it to open up, then you're going to have like a wave in your floor. I mean, you can do that. Doesn't really matter, but then this over here won't fit really good, so it's better to just cut it back open with a very thin, this is a 3/64 cutoff wheel on the die grinder. And I gotta tell you, I'm about to turn the camera off because wearing a welding helmet, and I've got no headroom to get in here and get some light and see what I'm doing and reach around the corner here. It's fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of fun. You don't know what you're missing, but I think because it's so much fun, I got to turn off the camera for a little while I have some more fun. So we'll see you on the other side. All right, a quick update. Did a lot of prying, pulling, pushing, making it sure it's level. Got tacks all the way around, as I was afraid of. A couple spots right here. Little too thin on the old metal. That sucks. I also blew it out there. I'll slowly fill that back in. But otherwise, tacked in. Not pretty, but it's coming together. And now it's just a simple matter of getting the welder and taking my time, going around bit by bit, make sure you don't overheat an area, warp it, etc. Not much to see there. So I think I'll just do that and get back with y'all in a little while with a progress update, and probably wrap this video up, somewhere around there. And, when it comes down to after all the welding, you got a ton of grinding to do. I'm not going to grind this perfectly flush, but I'm going to take the tops off of the welds as best I can. There's some pretty difficult contours in there that to grind on. But once that's done, again, I'm going to go around and seam seal. So if there are any little pinholes that I missed, I don't have to worry too much about it. I'm going to seam seal the whole shooting match. And then once that's done, paint everything on the top, paint everything on the bottom, then undercoat the bottom of it. So I'm not worried about this leaking or failing. It's going to last a very long time, probably a lot longer than the original one. So should be a good repair. Now I just got to finish it, which is painful. This is the longest floor pan I've ever done. I guess because I care a little bit more than normal. Normally I just like, burp, 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 especially on these old trucks that nobody cares about. So taking my time a little bit more, but man, I hate leaving some of that thin metal in there. I wish I had done it differently, but wish in one hand, and, well, you know the old saying. I'll see you in a little bit. So here's where we're at. A couple more passes and I'll be done welding it in. I just hit it with a hot lick with the grinder, took the tops off. And that's basically what it's going to look like. You know, I got to fill in the spot welds, but for now, this is what I'm kneeling on. And man, my knees are killing me at this point. I wish I had $1 for every time I've hooked either my earmuffs or my welding helmet on this or this. If you're doing this at your house, I recommend taking out the steering wheel. So much better. But yeah, I've just been banging into everything. Really hard to get back here and see with light. Getting the welder in there, getting the light in there, and getting your head in there because you're hooking on the vents and everything. So it's a good time. All right, well, that's progress. More later. Okay, it's the next morning and I got some coffee, so feeling good. And I got to make another pass, close up a couple of little holes, finish up some stuff, and then do some grinding, and we'll call it good. I'm going to go ahead and start tacking in more of these spot welds. Yep. That generates a whole lot of heat, so you got to be kind of careful. You don't want to go through and just do them boom, 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 boom. You're going to do one, cool it down, move over, do another one, cool it down. It's going to send a ton of heat through this whole panel and the frame underneath of it. So, you know, time to get going. All right, here's filling in the spot weld. Lots of fun. Even though I've got them screwed down, that's really good with the heat and the warping in the panel. Sometimes they'll come up. Just give them one of those. Make them get back to their happy place. Move around a little bit. I'm going to stay close to these screws first off though, and move out from there. Alright, now I'm not a good welder, but that's what it should kind of look like. Just a puddle that you made, and it's kind of level with the surface. That one's still a little warm. And I don't have the welder set to death. I am using a Hobart, just a little 110 volt or 115 wire feed. Set on 2, and my wire feed speed is about 30-ish for sheet metal. I don't need to dump a ton of heat into this thing. Obviously, sheet metal blows through very easy. So I am not a trained welder. This is just me experimenting over the years and doing what I do, and you know, that's what works for this welder. Yours might be different. As for the self-tappers, pretty easy. Just take them on out, and the nice thing about that is you're going to fill the hole that the screw went through. So I'm going to start down deep in there, and then just let my puddle build and drag it around the rest of the spot weld. Not too shabby. Not my best one, but hey, it is what it is. It's filled and sealed. I can go underneath and check it, but I guarantee it got down in there good. So, cool. About 8 or 10 more of those to go, and then a bunch of grinding. I'll be back in just a little bit. Alright, so there you have it. Floor pan is in. It's in solid. Happy with everything. Now, a couple of quick points. I could grind these welds down a lot more, but it's not necessary. Obviously, it's just a floor pan. No need to get crazy, not, body working it and everything. Again, someday it'll be covered with carpet. But as you grind down on these things, and you can tell a lot of this contour, you can't keep the sander flat. So what you end up doing is getting into the other metal on either side, especially if it bows in when you put that heat to it. When your gap's too tight, that's exactly what it does. I've got several spots like that. Not a big deal. Again, floor pan. This is the best place to start for doing sheet metal work to learn. And I learn something every time I do it. But I will tell you this. I'm not going to go crazy on these welds. And I can also tell you, if you go underneath with a flashlight and shine it up, you're going to see little pinholes of light coming through where I missed. There's a little tiny gap. Not to worry. I'm going to wrap this video up with just this so you can see this, but I am going to give you a kind of a preview of future. What's going to happen, I'm going to go through and all this rust up here, the surface rust, wire brush it all off. It's going to get POR 15. The POR 15 will also be painted all along all of these seams here, okay? The reason I do that, the POR 15 will fill some of the smaller pinholes. Anything larger than that, it's going to get, after the POR 15 dries to attack, I'll go over top of this whole thing, every weld seam with, what am I trying to say? Oh, with seam sealer. Yeah, thank you. And I'll get some new fresh seam sealer up in here where it belongs, a couple places over here. So a lot to go there. Then I'll final top coat it with once all that's dried up and everything. So it'll look a lot better. It's going to last a very long time. And one last thing before I go, I do want to show you this. All right, so take a close look there. That's really thin metal. And when I was originally cutting it out, I got a little aggressive and went through it, but that's a good thing. Why am I saying that's a good thing? Because now I know that's really thin metal. I can't weld that back. So I got to cut just this little strip out right here, fit a little piece in there, weld it in, then I can get this last screw out and fill that last fillet, rose weld, whatever you want to call it. But other than that, hey, we're in. Got a nice solid floor pan, no rust. The POR 15 is going to take care of any of that rust up there, which you can see pretty good. And one day, not today, but someday, the whole dash is going to come out of this thing so I can attack the entire firewall. There's insulation up underneath of there that holds against the held moisture against the firewall. I'm sure there's some thin spots. Also, the whole cowl up here. If you haven't seen any earlier videos, look at all the rust up in there. It's just terrible. I don't even think those windshield wipers are going to turn. I don't see a drop of grease on them. But yeah, see all that insulation falling? The factory radio, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, this needs to be gutted. 100%. And I'll do that the day that I do the windshield. So, not anytime soon. I just want to get the daggone thing on the road and enjoy it. So, why just, get the basics done. Worry about all that other mess later, because, that's huge task, taking the dash out and doing the windshield. And I'm not going for full restoration. Go back and watch some of the earlier videos and you'll kind of know the story. My plan is just to get this joker on the road. It's nothing special. It's a SE 318 car from birth. It's not some wild, 440 RT, something that, wow, you really got to take care. But saying that, it's still, I take my time with these projects because I do feel like, wow, it is a 1969 Charger and there ain't many of them left. So I do want to take good care of what I am doing. Do it to the best of my ability. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and send it on to a buddy. I hope you learned something. And if you got, pointers for me, hey, I'm all ears. Let me know. Because this is the way I've just figured it out myself, watched a couple videos, learned to weld. This is what got me started welding, was paying a guy to do floor pans in a car, and he did much worse than this. And he was a body guy, so he'd gone to school and everything. They just, it's a floor pan. Most people just bang, slap it in there, zap it with some weld, seam seal it, and off you go. Again, it's going to be under carpet. One of the things that I like to do is make sure if I do good on the top, when I go underneath and put the undercoating back on and everything, you shouldn't be able to tell that somebody stabbed the floor pan in here. But that's the surefire way when you're going to looking at a car, is looking underneath. And you can usually see where somebody scabbed in a floor pan. They just they lay it on top and stitch the edges, and they don't worry about cutting it and fitting it and butting it up. It's a lap style repair. And by lap, I mean laying one metal laying over the other. Do it your way. This is the way I did it, and I think it's going to be just fine. And I hope you liked it. And if so, come around next time. I'll maybe go get more into all the other stuff I'm going to do in here. I'd like to get the seat back in here, get it out of my attic and get it in here. So y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.